Trelwell, can you assure me that the Congress said irreducible 10-hour break? That's not going to change, right? No matter what's going on in this rulemaking or whatever, you can't. I mean, if we're that explicit, even if airlines complain it's going to cost them a bunch of money or whatever, you can't reduce that. Would that be correct? That's a statute.
Sir, and I can commit that under the confines of the reviews that it has to go through and the other agencies that have to weigh in, that is the intent, is to meet
right. You can't
meet your rule and to meet the language.
I had a lengthy hearing with GSA yesterday where, the law isn't the law. I just want to make sure in this case the law is the law. It says 10 hours. It's very explicit. So, but here's the other side. I understand, and I, perhaps in the future when we have to do these sorts of things, we will anticipate and obviate somehow the rulemaking process. But you're also, that air carriers, Part 121, were supposed to submit, fatigue risk management plans no later than 90 days. Now, they don't have to go through a rulemaking. They just have to send you a plan. What's the holdup with, you said you've only got 11 who've completed this?
So we have 28 submitted. And as far as they're meeting that 90 days, we are talking to them along the way.
Is there a possibility of fining them if they're not in compliance with that?
I'll have to get back to you on the enforcement side of it. I don't have that right in front of me.
I mean, we're pretty explicit, and it really shouldn't take more than 90 days. I was just informed that that United had theirs in at the first in January, so I don't want this to it's some low common denominator out there dragging this out unnecessarily. And then on the secondary barriers, we asked that an order be issued. Essentially, it would be like a corrective action having to do with something to do with the structure of the plane or whatever, an order. But now we're going to go through a rulemaking or an advisory committee on secondary barriers. What would happen if you just ordered the airlines to do it?
Mr. Chairman, even an order would require rulemaking unless it was an emergency order and the...
Well, it could be an emergency order. We don't want to have another 9/11.
Well, sir, the process still requires rulemaking. Making changes to the interior of a 121 aircraft is an STC, a supplementary type certificate. That requires approval from the FAA. The FAA has to provide for all the carriers the standards and the performance requirements for the barrier, which again would normally entail rulemaking. And we have to think about these barriers have to cover everything from a 50-seat regional jet to a twin-aisle international carrier. And so there are serious things to consider both on safety, on the manufacture of these doors, what kind of doors.
All right, that's good. I get that. But you do agree with what the law says. There's no question that the former chairman was incorrect in saying we meant new types, that we said all newly manufactured aircraft.
New production aircraft, yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. And then, the UAS rule at OMB, perhaps Ms. Liu can answer, the trolls at OMB, delay a lot of necessary things. This is a critical rule. How are they going to calculate their cost benefit when we don't even know, we haven't done a test yet on ingesting a drone? We don't know if it's going to cause, uncontained failure and take the plane down or whatever. I mean, what are they using? I mean, what are the costs that are involved? There are no costs to the government.
I don't think we can address directly the ingestion for an aircraft engine of a UAS, but the intent of remote ID is to actually allow for us to detect before you would actually have that encounter.
Right.
There's benefits because of what we have seen already in dispenses of resources to do the tracking for UAS. And I think it's more the benefit that we can find in allowing the new industry to operate in a safer manner than what we have been using in some cases, manned aircraft.
Right, but I just don't know what OMB is doing. Or for instance, last summer, we had a bad fire summer. I had planes, the whole fleet of planes and helicopters taken down because some jerk was taking photographs of the fire, and there was a drone in the restricted airspace. I mean, I don't know how anybody can't find that there is a huge benefit. We've shut down airports when we have drones in the airport. I mean, there's no downside to this, correct?
And actually, those are accounted for in the cost-benefit analysis.
Okay, thank you. My time's expired.
Thank you. Recognize